I have reviewed a lot of Viltrox lenses, but this one really made me put Viltrox alongside top third-party lens brands like Tamron and Sigma. Viltrox 13mm f1.4, hands down the best APS-C wide-angle lens for the money. Let's review this. Viltrox 13mm f1.4 is a full-frame equivalent of about 20mm focal length and f2.1 background blur, which is a very handy combination for a lot of circumstances and use cases. So guys, let's start off with the kit. In the kit we have a very nice traditional Viltrox pouch, as well as the caps, the front and the back cap, plasticky but okay, and the lens itself. I enjoy the build quality of this lens, it feels really sturdy and I have no complaints whatsoever about the build quality and materials, just have a listen. The focus ring is smooth and linear, and also here we have an aperture ring which is also very smooth without any steps, and you can dial in your aperture value in video mode without introducing some steps and kind of jumps of exposure in your shot. And the lens hood can be reversed mounted for more compact storage. On the back you'll find the metal lens mount as well as the USB Type-C for updating the firmware, but unfortunately we don't have a weather sealing gasket, and overall I do not recommend to use this lens in dusty environments like in the desert. The filter thread size is 67mm, my favorite one, and also this lens features STM motor, and let's have a look at the autofocus capabilities. So here it is on my Sony a6300, a pretty old camera, and as you can see guys, it tracks the face pretty good, and it's relatively fast to be honest for a camera that is almost 10 years old I guess. So yeah, it's a good performance here, much better than with the Viltrox 56mm lens. Now let's switch to Sony a7S III to Super 35 crop mode in Full HD, and as you can see, it's just flawlessly tracking my eye without hunting. And as soon as I go down, it gets the focus right up as soon as I get back. So it's a very good performance in terms of autofocus, so the better body you have, the more reliable and fast it will be, but all in all, it's a great autofocus. By the way, if you use this lens with a full-frame camera, you get a slight vignette, not too big, and if you apply clear image zoom to 1.2 or basically set the image scale to 120%, you'll have a very nice and clean image with almost no vignette on a full-frame body. And it will be an equivalent of about 16mm full-frame lens, and it's very useful I guess, and you can definitely use this lens with a full-frame camera, so it's a pretty nice and unexpected bonus. In terms of chromatic aberrations, there are some, but they're not too big and critical, look at that. At f1.4 they're average, at f2 a bit better, and f2.8 a bit better again, and at f4 they disappear completely. But as you can see right here on this example, the chromatic aberrations are not the worst and almost non-existent. So now let's have a look at distortion, vignette and sharpness at different apertures. At f1.4 we have a huge vignette, as you can see it gets much better by f2, and by f2.8 the vignette almost goes away. There is still some darkness in the very corners, but overall at f2.8 it's a good vignette performance. In terms of distortion, we see a little bit of barrel distortion with kind of a mustache shape, also not too crazy, and you wouldn't notice it in your pictures and images. I'll show you some shots of buildings later on and you won't see this distortion. So here's the waveform, and you can see the corners of each shot with different aperture values, and you can clearly see how dark the corners are at f1.4 and at f2. And now let's have a look at the top right corner of the image. At f1.4 we see slight softness in the very edge of the frame, f2 gets better, 2.8 looks sharp, and f4, f5.6 is really sharp. So overall it's a nice performance, and starting from f2.8 the corner sharpness is great. The minimum focusing distance is 22 centimeters, and you can get those kind of shots with this lens. But unfortunately the close-up image quality is not the best one, and here it is in comparison with f2.8. As you can see, 2.8 looks much sharper, especially on the text with FE 1.8. So my advice is to close down the aperture a little bit when you're doing some close focusing shots. Focus breathing is also really well controlled. As you can see here, we have almost no push ins and outs with f16 aperture when we change focus. Good job here, Viltrox. Now let's have a look at the flare performance, and here is the weak spot of the flaring. We see a very bright point of light right here, and then we can see one more very saturated flare right there. So here it is at f4, we still get the same bright spot in the middle of the image and very saturated flares, the green one and magenta one, in the lower part of the image. And here it is at f16, we see a bright sun star, looks good. And now let's try it with the lens hood on, and let me say guys, I don't see that the lens hood is improving anything, but it's a very good quality lens hood, I would keep it on anyway. Also, I tested this lens on the gimbal, and it's a great choice for your gimbal work. As you can see, it tracks the eye of my daughter pretty well. It's with the Sony A6300 and it's still working, and you get some nice autofocus background with decent distance from your subject. Or it can be a good choice for your vlogging setup. Here I am vlogging with this lens. You get a nice blurry background and a lot of space for you to be in the frame. Let's have a look at a couple of pictures. They are JPEGs straight out of camera. As you can see, we have almost no distortion with those buildings and great contrast and colors overall. By the way, it's shot in auto white balance and no corrections whatsoever. And I do like the contrast and how it holds up against the sun, the backlit. The image quality is good, it's sharp, and you can even see some autofocus backgrounds being soft and naturally looking. And I also did some long exposure shots, and we can even see some stars in the middle of the huge city, and I did enjoy using this lens for this as well. And now let's have a look at the bokeh. I do like this bokeh. It's not a ton of bokeh as you might have imagined because of the focal length and the aperture being f1.4 on the crop sensor body like f2.1. But all in all, it's a great bokeh in my opinion. And here's the minimal focus and distance with the bokeh. It's creepy a little bit. And now let's have a look at the bokeh more precisely during the night. As you can see, we have the very nice circular shape, and only towards the edges of the frame we can see some distortion in the bokeh highlights, bokeh balls. Inside we see a little bit of onion shape, but it's not too crazy, and when we stop down this lens, the circles remain circular shape in a very good fashion. And finally, let's have a look at the coma smearing. With the left light pole we have some smudginess and a lot of bad flaring, but with the right light pole we can see some better performance, and by f2.2, maybe f2.5, the coma smearing goes away. This left light pole is just going crazy, as you can see guys, and here it is at f8 to f16, pretty nice sun stars as well. And the price of this Viltrox lens is $430. It's $120 cheaper than the Sony 11mm f1.8 lens for crop sensor bodies, and $320 cheaper than the Sony 15mm f1.4 G lens, also for crop sensor cameras. And to be honest, 13mm on a crop sensor is a sweet spot to me. So guys, to conclude, Viltrox 13mm f1.4 is a great companion to your APS-C camera, but it also may act as a 16mm wide-angle lens on a full-frame camera if you enable a little bit of image crop. And this fact surprised me a lot. The autofocus is nearly perfect, the sharpness in the middle is great, but extreme corner sharpness is a bit low wide open. Chromatic aberrations are not bad, bokeh is nice and creamy, flares and coma smearing is average, but I've seen much worse, especially considering the price. The weakest aspect of Viltrox 13mm f1.4 in my opinion is vignetting being pretty heavy till f2.8. Other than that and the nuances I've mentioned above, this lens comes highly recommended. So what do you think guys, is there any better option for the money in this lens category, and which fast wide-angle lens for APS-C cameras do you use? Share all of your thoughts down in the comment section below. If you did enjoy this video, please smash the like and subscribe buttons, and of course the notifications bell. Here are a couple of videos for you to watch next, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, bye.